Hello again. I hope you've watched part 1 of this 2-part series. If not, I put a link to it below. Let's get right into how I install and care for my hair while it's in braids. There's a lot of great detailed videos on YouTube on how to install all types of braids, so I'm not going to go into great detail. I use the pH stabilizing spritz to moisturize the section of hair that I'm working with. Then I lubricate my hair with the herbal hot oil treatment and scoop and spread a bit. To reduce tension on my edges, I use less added hair for the front of my hair and more added hair for the back. I like to install my braids very loose. This is really important because it's not just our edges that get sparse and thin out. Our scalp literally hates tension. So if you're paying someone to braid your hair and they insist on doing them tight, take your business to someone who will listen to you. Your money, your rules. I also like to keep my natural hair together in one clump throughout the whole braid. This is a lifesaver because it keeps my hair from tangling during takedown. With yarn, when I get to the end, I tie a knot and cut off the excess. With synthetic hair, I usually braid it down as far as I can go and either dip it into hot water or burn the tips so it won't come apart. When I'm done, apart from the weight of the yarn or the hair, there's no added tension on my scalp. So I can move it around and I can put it into a ponytail with no problem. While my hair is in braids, it's able to withstand more manipulation without breakage or tangles. So I like to take this time as an opportunity to give my scalp and hair tons of love. Protective styles are great, but if you neglect your hair while it's in one, you will eventually experience hair loss. I try to wash my hair while it's in braids once a week or at least every 10 days or so. I always start with an onion juice treatment. I'm going to be posting an onion juice update soon that I'm really excited about, so please stay tuned. Anyway, I make sure to focus on my scalp and take time to massage it in. I use the rest on the length of my hair and let it sit under a shower cap for about 30 to 45 minutes. Then I shampoo and condition. Not having to worry about tangles makes this process a lot faster. Synthetic hair and yarn especially are very stingy with moisture. If you let it, they can make your hair really dry out. So apart from washing my hair once a week, I also moisturize and lubricate my hair once or twice between wash days. Here's how I do it. If your braids have been in the same ponytail for days, rake through it first and separate them to reduce the friction. It's also important to look through it and make sure clumps of your real hair isn't sticking out or nothing's out of place. When you get your hair braided, the stylist usually likes to cut out those little flyaways along the braid. I'm against that for a couple of reasons. First, some flyaways are longer than you think, so they could be cutting off length. Also, it's just unnecessary. As long as you keep your braids moisturized, they'll be fine. To me, they make my braids look more natural. I go a little heavy with the pH stabilizing spritz. I use more than I usually would to make sure there's enough for my natural hair to soak up. Then I use the herbal hot oil treatment to seal in the moisture, reduce friction, and lubricate my hair. Don't forget your ends because they're in there. After that, I use a hair tie to keep my braids out my face and let my hair air dry before wearing it up again. My edges are really fragile compared to the rest of my hair, so at some point, I usually replace the braids along this section to keep them from thinning out. That's it. That's my regimen while my hair is in a long-term protective style. To me, braids are not an excuse to leave my hair alone. They just give me better access to make it easier to take care of my hair. A long-term protective style is a tool. It's not something to rely on. I usually wear a set of braids for about a month or so. That and the fact that I keep them from drying out makes the takedown a lot easier. Here's an example of how I do it with yarn braids. As you can see, my real hair is almost as long as the braids, so I have to be careful not to cut too high. As I unravel the braid, once I see my natural hair, I always make sure to isolate it and keep track of it. I've learned from experience that if I don't do this, it's easy for my hair to get tangled with the yarn or synthetic hair. I won't be able to do this if I didn't keep my natural hair in one clump as I was installing the braids. My natural hair is clumped together, moisturized, and lubricated, so the yarn just slides out. There's a whole bunch of shed hair that accumulated in this one section of hair, so it's important to take your time in removing it, section by section. Before anything, I spritz my roots first. Then I scoop and spread to help release the shed hair. Once my roots loosen up, I start spreading my hair from the roots. I don't bother with my ends because I've learned from experience that once you release the shed hair from the roots in the middle, they just slide out without causing breakage. I use the herbal hot oil treatment to work on the details and make sure all the shed hairs are out. Here's a side-by-side of what this section looked like after removing the braid, and what it looks like after moisturizing it and removing the shed hair. When you first go natural, sometimes it can be hard to tell when your hair is happy. One of the ways I can tell my hair is happy is when it's fluffy and bouncy. It feels more relaxed and flexible. This is all the shed hair that came out of my head after wearing my braids for 1 month. I noticed that when I do too much with my hair in one day, my scalp always gets sore. So after taking out my braids, instead of doing a whole wash day routine, I put my hair into mini twists for about 2 weeks to give my scalp some time to rest and readjust. That's another benefit of washing your hair in braids once a week. When you take them down, your hair isn't super dirty. I hope this 2-part series on my long-term protective style regimen was helpful. To recap, I wear my hair in braids twice a year for a month at a time. I make sure to keep my hair clean, moisturized, and lubricated the whole time. Due to all the toxic chemicals, going forward, I'm going to stay away from synthetic hair and yarn. If I decide to braid my hair again, I'm going to use human hair and post a video on it. As always, thanks for watching. See you in the next video.